Happy Friday, everybody. This is Jen Lee, and we're here for Automation Hour. And there we go. There's the slides. All right, so if you're joining us for the first time, all lines are muted, and please post your questions on our Trailblazer community, Salesforce Automation Hour, and we will be posting the recording as well as the link to the deck sometime after the session, and this will be also communicated out on our Trailblazer community as well as Twitter. And also on our website, automationhour.com, where you can then also go and access previous recordings as well as sign up for our upcoming sessions with a lot of great community users and Brian Kwong, who's an MVP. We are still looking to book sessions out in the year. So if you do have a business use case with a cool process automation solution to that, please reach out to us and we'll get you scheduled in on a future session. And we want to give a shout out to Concrete.io for being a sponsor and bringing this to the community for free. And here are your co-hosts, David Linton, myself, and Rakesh Gupta. And with that, I want to hand it over to Shruti. She is a repeat presenter, one of our only presenters from India. So thank you so much, Shruti, for staying up late to present to us. So with that, let me hand over controls to you. All right, we see your deck.
Okay, yeah. So thank you, Jen. So a very good afternoon, everyone. I know it's Friday, so let us not spend a lot of time, but still learn something new and wrap up a great week. So I am Shruti. I work as a Salesforce developer, and I hail from Kerala in India. And this is my second time on Automation Hour. So thanks a lot to the team for giving me an opportunity. And about me, I have spoken at multiple conferences and webinars. I also lead the student and WIT user groups in Kerala. And you can find me on Twitter at Shruti for Chess. And also reach out to me on my website, shrutisridharan.com. So that's the agenda for the hour. We will learn about the APIs in short. Then we will peek at external services. We will see how we can use it to make API integrations easy. And then I will do a hands-on demo. And then over to the Q&A. The fear of API integrations. Now, that is Rebecca. She was a newly appointed admin for Universal Containers. Unfortunately, it was not that welcoming though. Among a list of chores, one thing she had to take care of was an API integration. And guess what? She is hearing API for the first time. I think more or less we have all been in this situation once, and we all run to the developers. However, at the end of the hour, you'll be able to do integrations without being a developer. Now, what is an API? API is actually a very broad term when it comes to programming, but For the scope of our webinar, we will look at it from one perspective. Uh, think of it like a link or a web address that a piece of code can access and get some results. Now, it does not mean it can be accessed only via code. You could also access it via the browser too. So let us see an example. Now let me click this link and see what happens. So you can see that it gives the current rate in euros for $1. In addition, if you look at the way it is presented, it looks as though it is in a specific format. Now, if you're curious, it's called as JSON. The point that I'm trying to make is that these APIs return results in a way uh, a machine or code can understand and decipher. So, where all do we use APIs? So, these are some of the examples, and trust me, there are a lot. So, one is currency conversion, then another one is, say, sending and receiving data to systems outside Salesforce. Then also there are interesting APIs exposed by Google too, uh, like language translation and so on. Now, another term that we frequently hear is API integration, and that is what Rebecca, the admin, got on her first day. So, what is it all about? In simple words, it is really writing a ton of Apex to access the so-called link or address and grab the information and do whatever. Trust me, it is no easy job. You got to think about a lot of things, and I swear it's not my thing at all. There is maintenance, Apex, then with Apex comes the deployments, sandbox, unit tests. Oh God, at least I'm not a big fan of all this. And I'm not a great developer either. So, what is the solution to this problem? As always, Salesforce has those little surprises to admins, and here we welcome external services. Now, why am I making a lot of noise? Guess what? You can do API integration with absolutely no code at all. Yes, I mean it. Now, what does that mean to non-coders or admins? It is just plug and play kinda. Like I said, no code, only clicks. In addition, you know what I love the most? You can use it in flows, and I fell in love with it. Everything is taken care by the platform. All right, so let's start exploring this external services. Writing the description of your API. So you have this link or address, what we call as the API, but how do you tell external service about your API? We need to give a bit of information here. We need to tell external service the link, is it HTTP or HTTPS, what the domain is, what is the way in which your API gives information back to you. So in our first example, we had our exchange rate API, and the result looked like what you see on the screen now. So you need to tell a brief description about your API to the external service wizard, so that it knows how to talk to this API and grab the information. So for this, you need to write what is called a swagger. I know this is getting that developer stint, but you do not have to really worry about that. In fact, most of the APIs on the web today gives you a downloadable Swagger file that you just have to copy and paste in Salesforce. The interesting thing is, for the use case that we are going to do today, I was able to download it, and there was absolutely no effort at all. Registering an external service and using it in flows. So let us see what I have to do after I downloaded this Swagger thing. Trust me, spare a few clicks only. So switch to Lightning, search for external services in your setup, then click new, and then copy everything from your downloaded Swagger file, paste, and just skim through the wizard. You would not believe it, it is that simple. And do you have any idea where you are able to use it? Yes, right inside your flows, and that feels just like home. I know that was a lot of talking. So now let us build one. So the use case is simple. In our example, uh, I'm using the currency conversion API provided by a vendor called exchangeRateAPI.com. Let me take you to their website and show you the APIs. So here is their website, exchangeRateAPI.com, and they offer this API called pair request, and that's what we are going to use. They offer like 1,000 calls to their API free for every month, and we'll be use external service and flows to grab the information from their API and store them in an object. We will also expose it via the utility bar, and all of this without any epics. So now let me go to my Salesforce org. So the first thing first, let me create the custom object. So for that, let me navigate to the setup. So yes, it's loaded. I think I will use the schema builder. Schema builder. So yeah, I'll give it some time to load. Yeah, it is loaded. Now from the elements tab, I will drag the object onto my canvas, and I will name it currency conversion. And the plural name will be currency conversions. And I will leave all the other settings as it is and hit save. Now let me add some fields now. So I will add the pick list. Say from currency. Now let me add USD as an option. The other pick list field, so after creating this, uh, yeah, will be to currency. And let me add options like EUR, JPY, CHF, and maybe GBP too. And finally, now let me hit the save. Now let me add the most important field, that is the rate. That will be a currency. Now let me name it as rate with say 6 decimal places. And yes, so finally I hit the save. Now let me create a tab for this new object. So here I am at my setup, and I will search for tabs, and I select the tabs. Now I hit on the new, and here I'll select my object currency conversion, and I will choose maybe a stack of cash as my tab style, and finally hit the next. And I will leave the visibility as it is and hit next. Now I will not add it to any apps for now, and I'll just save it. So yes, my tab is ready. Now let me now create a lightning app to enclose this tab. So I will search app from my setup, and so here I'll click on the app manager. Now I will hit on new lightning app, and I'll name it as maybe currency conversion. And finally I'll hit next. I will leave all the settings as default and again hit next. And for now I will skip the utility bar, but I will add the tab called currency conversions. So yes, I have added it. Now I hit next, and let me make it available just for the admin. And yes, finally I'll hit the finish button. So now let me take a peek at the app. There you go. We have the currency conversion app. Now let's see if we have all the fields intact. Ah, so I guess we will have to add them to the page layout since I use the schema builder. So let me do that now. So again, I navigate to the setup, and here I click on Object Manager, and here I search for currency conversion, and I click on it, and here I select the page layouts. Now I hit the edit. Now let me add the fields. So I add the from currency, yes, finally got it. Then I add the to currency and the rate also. Alright, so now I'll hit the save. Now let me check if my fields are visible or not. So yes, there it is. I have all my fields here. The pick list, everything. So now the fun starts. So before we upload a Swagger into Salesforce via external service, we need to create a named credential. So this is to let Salesforce know how to access the API, such as is there an extra layer of security like a password or so? Luckily, in our case, it's pretty much open and public. So I'm here at my setup. Now I will type name credential and I select this, and here I click on new. Now we need to supply the domain of our API. So I will label it as exchange rate API, and supply the host as https colon // v3 dot exchange rate hyphen api dot com, and now hit on save. So yes, this is the endpoint. This is the host actually, and this is what we had supplied in the name credential. So the next thing is uploading the Swagger into the external services wizard. So let me search for external service from the setup, and I select this. Now I'll click on add external service, and here I will click next, and I label it as exchange rate API. Now I will choose the name credential which I just created. Now simply open this Swagger thing uh, you received from the vendor and paste it there. So this is my Swagger, and I'll just copy this. Now let me go back to my org, and I'll paste it here, and after I have done that, uh, I'll just hit the next. Now just keep hitting next, and you should be all set. So wasn't that simple? Alright, so let me create some conversion records. So for that, I'll open my app. I'm already here, and now let's create some records here. So say USD to GBP, and the currency will be all right. Now let me hit the save and new. Maybe one more. So I'll give it USD to JPY, to currency will be JPY, and yes. So now I'm hitting the save. So that should do it. Now, so let me create a view. So here I click on the new and I'll call it all conversions and hitting the save. And now let me configure the columns. See from currency. Now I'll select the two currency. I'll select the rate and hit save. So yes, now that's all set. Now let me create the flow. For that, here I'm at the setup and I'll search flow and here I select the flows. Now I click on the new flow. So yes, let me allow the flash. This is all going away soon and you should see a brand new sleek UI hitting your orgs in spring 19. So let's wait for the canvas. Alright, so my canvas is ready. So the first thing I need to do is query all the currency conversion records. So let me add, yeah, these. So let me add the fast lookup. Yeah, so that's there. And let's call it query conversions. Query. And the object will be currency conversion. Yes. So now I will store the result in a collection. So here I'm selecting as object collection variable and let me name it as all conversions and the object type will be currency conversion and finally I'm hitting the OK. We need to make sure we select the from currency and the two currency fields here. So let me select the from currency and the two currency. Alright, so it's all set. Now I click on OK. Next, let me add a loop to go over each of my conversion records. So here I search loop and I get the loop here. I drag it to my canvas. I'm naming it as loop conversions. Let me loop through it. So let me just go through each of my conversion records. The object type will be currency conversion, and I hit the OK. Here also OK. Now let me just join it. Yes. So now in the Apex section, uh, so where is the Apex section? Yes. So you can see that there is a new element. So simply drag and drop it to the canvas, and let us name it as get rate. And now let us supply the from or to, which will be from our conversion record. Now the syntax that this specific API accepts is like the ISO code for the from currency / ISO code for the to currency, like here. So it's important to understand that each API will have its own way. The vendor that I'm using accepts like this. / All right. So now what about the outputs? So let me store the rate in a variable, and here I'll call it rate, a new variable. Let me give it rate, which will be again currency, and the scale will be 6, and finally I'm clicking the OK. So that is it. Now this element will do all the heavy lifting. So no Apex at all. So now that we have the rate, we need to store it back to the conversion records. So let me take an assignment. So here I search assignment and I drag it, and I will call it update rate. So let me set the rate field on the conversion record. Yes, that will be like equals the rate that I created. Alright, finally I hit the OK, and I'm joining this. Now I will store my updated conversion to another list using another assignment. So here's my another assignment, and I name it as collect conversions. Yes. So I will create an subject collection and call it maybe updated conversions. Here I'm choosing the object type as currency conversion and finally hitting OK. So yes, I'm adding each conversion. Yeah, and finally hitting the OK. Now connect both the assignments and the loop. All right. So now the last thing is to save the updated conversion records. So for that, I will use a fast update. Fast update, and I'm dragging it to my canvas. And now let's call it save rates. And the variable will be updated conversions. So I have it here, and finally I'm hitting the OK. And yes, so let me just connect it. Yes, so that's it. Now let me set the start element and save it as a screen flow. And maybe I will name it as update conversion rates. All right, and it will be a screen flow, and I hit the OK. And now I run the flow. Whoa, the flow finished. So now let's go to the list view and check if the rates have come or not. So here you go. You have like all the rates for all the conversions. And the best part is we didn't write even one single line of code. All right, so now let me activate the uh, flow so that I can add it to the utility bar of my app. So I'm closing the flow, and here I click the activate. Now I navigate to my app. Yes, here I have my app, currency conversion, and I'm hitting the edit button here. Now on the left here, I click on utility items, and let me click add utility item, and here let me type flow, and I'm selecting the flow, and let's label it as maybe update rates. So here down you can see that the flow is already selected. So finally I hit the save. So now let's go to our app now, and let me take my app, the currency conversion. And here, let me clear like all the rates. Before that, let me take the view. And now, let me clear the rates. Alright, so yeah, that is done. Now you can see our flow right there on the utility bar. Let's click it. So yes, there it is. Now let's verify if our rates came in or not. Perfect. So that is it. You can see that the rates have been filled when we ran the flow from the utility bar. So now let's go back to the presentation, and here now I'm coming to the end of the presentation. So I hope that demo helped. Now let's see what all we have to keep in our mind before you take a stab at it. Unfortunately, this is still very new. You cannot use it in process today due to a known limitation. In addition, the complex APIs might not be supported too. So yes, we have finally come to the end. So thank you everyone.
Awesome, Shruti. All right, so for those on the phone, if you have any questions about Shruti's presentation or any general process automation questions, do post them now. In the meantime, Shruti, how did you test your flow, that your flow was doing the right things that it needed to do?
I'm sorry, Jenly, I lost you.
Sure, I'll repeat again. How did you test that your flow was doing everything that it needed to do? Like, how did you know that what was coming back was the correct rate?
Uh, so I use the external services. So I depend on it. It's actually giving me the exact rates, the current currency rates.
Okay.
And if we want to check, means we can try the APIs from their side too. So let me show it to you. Let me just go to their site. Let me just paste the key here. And this is USD to GBP. So here are the rate, that is 0.7621, and here you can see the rate is 0.762108.
Great, thanks. Rita asks, would this be considered a custom API?
I'm sorry?
The question was, would this be considered a custom API?
Custom means I didn't get that question correctly.
Um, so it means if
Yes, maybe like I mean we can integrate like all sort of APIs. We just have to like make sure that it is light, regardless of the customer standard.
okay.
Did I answer the question?
Um, Rita, if she didn't answer the question, just let me know. You can post it in the chat for the GoToWebinar. That'd be fine. Let's see. Michael had a question. When you run the wizard to import the external service definition, are the Apex test classes also generated automatically?
Yes, they are.
Huh?
But
Right.
you don't have to worry about anything. Like it is all generated automatically, so you don't have to worry. So that is the whole idea of external services. It's very admin friendly.
Okay. Great. Another question, how did you start designing this? Did you have everything when you started designing, or did you figure this out as you went along?
Uh, no. So yes, I had to figure like many things. The great thing that helped was the trailhead. Like I could like learn a lot of things from the trailhead, and there's a module called external service. So if you go through that, you can learn very easily. uh, I would suggest you all to try it, and you can get a badge too, right?
Right. And I think we have time for just one last question. What would you say is the hardest part with your solution?
Um the hardest part I would say would be writing the swagger, but still for like many APIs you can easily get the swagger. Most of the APIs actually provide it. But yes, I am there. If at all you don't get the swagger for any API, you can shoot me an email and I can write it for you.
That's awesome.
I have played with it quite a bit.
Let me refresh one more time and see if there are any other questions. Okay, I think that is it, and we have 6 minutes left. So rather than keep you any longer, because I know it is very early in India, and again, thank you so much for staying up to do that presentation for us, Shruti. It was very helpful, and we definitely want you to come back again and do another presentation for us on something else.
No problem. Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you so much, the automation team. I'm really honored to present here. I will
Okay.
definitely come back.
Okay, great.
If you give me
Now get some sleep.
a All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.